You are now tuned in to Two Studs in a Pod, a podcast giving you a candid glimpse into the world of super terrific Uber Dice, but you can call us studs. I'm Blaze.
I'm Meech.
Boy pregnancies and super aunties is what we're getting into this week. So let's get into it. Homie, drop the beat. Studs in a Pod. We're just a couple of studs keeping it real, raw, and off the cuff. We welcome you to the show. For many, a family is not complete without the sound of little feet. And for others, it's best when those feet can return home after a week. So this episode, we're getting into our thoughts on stud pregnancies and being the best aunties we can be. But before we fantasize about mini-me's, what's really good with you this week, Meech?
Life is good, man. Can't complain. I'm always studying, as you guys know at this point. I know y'all like hurry up and pass these exams so you can stop hearing about it. But yeah, that's weather's starting to get a little cool out here. So I've been freezing because I'm still on like Miami weather schedule. I don't know when the weather's about to change and all that shit. So it was a shock to me. I was like, oh, I need to get a hoodie, but it's like 68 degrees out. So. But yeah, things are starting to open back up out here. A lot of people in the streets. Traffic is getting worse. But yeah, that's about it. What's been going on with you?
I can say the same thing about the traffic. It's definitely picking back up. I can see it like on the news. The dog was barking. I wasn't sure if you could hear that. But yeah, so that's definitely something that's happening. Definitely more people out, and it's a exciting week. Went with the fam. They came down and we hit up the parks real quick.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It felt safe. Not
Yeah.
I mean, they take your temperature when you get in. You are masked up. There's places to wash your hands along the way. Obviously, the bathroom along the way as well, and then like hand sanitizer stations and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
They're making sure you wear your mask. They won't even let you take a picture without your mask on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to eat and drink, you gotta just stay in one spot and eat and drink your food. That's the only part that sucks. But it is. It did feel safe, but working and still putting in those damn pavers in the backyard. So, but the parks were a little reprieve. Yeah. Well, let's get into green peas, where we get into a few of the books, shows, podcasts, or trends, or whatever else new and exciting we've discovered or gotten into to help keep us amused and entertained. You have any good reads this week, Meech?
Yeah, this week I'm actually reading Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee. It's just kind of like his philosophies. I don't know, I just felt like I needed a little bit of a break, so I went with good old Bruce Lee. I'm a martial artist, I still consider myself a martial artist. It's been a minute since I've thrown a couple kicks and messed around with the sword, but I respect him. I respect his philosophies. I respect everything that he was about. So the book is really good. It's just kind of helping me stay focused and get back on track with things that I want to do. And, for entertainment purposes, I've been reading Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. It's about it's about like two girls who didn't know they were sisters, basically. And one's from DR and one is from New York. And they end up meeting because their dad dies in a plane crash. So I don't think I ruined anything. Sorry, spoiler alert. But it says it on the back of the book, so you guys ought to know that. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good. I like the way she writes. I think she's very poetic. So I'm enjoying that book. And then I've been listening to a couple podcasts about actually, since you mentioned it, the Queer Money podcast.
Oh yeah.
And a couple guests that they've had on their show. I've actually been listening to their podcast also, trying to make sure my money stays right.
Yeah, it grows.
Yeah, exactly. What you been getting into?
Well, we've been watching. I'm a watcher more than I'm a reader these days. But we've been watching Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
Have you watched that? I think it's on
Nah.
HBO, but it's from I want to say it's not. It's from Peele. You know Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's his show. Him and some other like well known people, but he's like the key person that I can remember. Journey Smollett is in it.
Oh, okay.
Courtney B. Vance is in it. The guy who is the main character, I don't remember his name exactly, but Omar from The Wire is in it.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
so it's pretty interesting. It's like a black sci-fi. That's
Oh.
what it is. It's a black sci-fi show. So if you're into sci-fi and witches and Warcraft and things like that,
Mhm.
it's definitely would be your bag. So it would be pretty entertaining. Uh, Other trend, like I said earlier, went to the parks and enjoyed Food and Wine Festival at Epcot, which was awesome. Got a little tipsy out there on the drinks, but that's definitely something that I recommend folks to do. Like I said again, you feel very safe. Plus,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta control yourself too.
Food and wine.
Wash your own hands, yeah, and just
Right.
you gotta live still. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's about it. For me, that I have new this week. And so now let's get into what we got cooking this week for stew peas. The thought of raising a family is not a dream exclusive only to women that exude femininity. There are many masculine presenting women that have hopes to one day belly bake their own little me, or them, or you know what I mean. Unfortunately, for a community so set on breaking traditional norms, there are some breaks that are still confusing to see, including stud, butch, masculine pregnancies. Meech, what's your take on pregnant studs or butch women that, the non traditional feminine looking woman being pregnant?
Um, I mean, it's not necessarily for me, but at the end of the day, we're women, so if that's your choice, then more power to you. I I mean, it does look a little weird because most masculine presenting anything, guy or girl, you don't expect to see with a big belly,
Right, like a belly
pregnant.
bump. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's shocking. I can understand that it's shocking. I wouldn't necessarily want to deal with ignorance of people, um, or just being pregnant in general. I have, nieces and nephews. I always did want a little mini me. So if, I can convince wifey to put one more bun in the oven, then maybe I'll have one. But I got 8 nieces and nephews, and I feel like I've had a hand in raising all of them. And then just having dated girls who had kids, so I feel like I've had my fill of being, or parenting, I guess, to an extent.
Hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, like you said, I never really saw myself being in that position. I think it is the more so the shock of when you see someone who looks masculine, and because you're, especially for us who are masculine ourselves, knowing
Hmm.
that that's not something that we would want, that is just like a shocker to see somebody who looks like us
Yeah.
um actually pregnant. I've never known anybody personally who got pregnant that was a stud or a butch. Um,
Hmm.
I've known, you know, some people who were more androgynous and they got pregnant. But yeah, that's not something that I've really experienced personally. And I feel like if that's what you want to do, like you said, we're women, that's what our bodies are made to do. So, and it's a beautiful thing to think about creating a life. It's just not for me to
Right.
do and want to take on that responsibility. So I guess it's confusing to some for just the visual aspect, and of course
Yeah.
people are just judgmental anyway. But uh, I think what may not be as confusing and is becoming a more common thing is the stud baby daddy. I think we mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Last season in our baby
Hmm.
daddy episode. But a stud enters a relationship with a woman that has children from a previous relationship and takes on that parental or mentor type role with the child or children in some cases. Um, and some have been known to even want to. I don't. I've known some that have wanted the children to call them daddy. But
Me too.
I mean, in the bedroom, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? But for having somebody's kids to call me daddy,
Call me daddy.
yeah, I just don't know. I mean,
No.
you know any stud baby daddies?
I do. And I do know one that wanted the kids to call them daddy, which is weird to me. Because it's just weird. I don't want to be called daddy by anybody's kids. I'm a, like I'm a female that's just masculine, so I'm a stud. You know what I mean? Like, um, you could call me, homie. You know what I mean? Like, you call me whatever. You call me auntie, but I'm not okay with them calling me daddy. But yeah, I mean, I do know some stud baby daddy. Some do the most. Um, you know what I mean? Just trying to play the father figure, and I just feel like that's extreme. I'm not trying to be a father figure. I'll be a mentor. I'll guide the kids and I'll help them out and I'll try to teach them life lessons, but I'm not trying to replace, a
Somebody's
father.
daddy, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you never really can. They still have a father, even if the father is not active in their lives. You'll never be that. You know what I mean? As a stud, you'll never be the actual parent. You can do as much as you want, and you can hope that eventually the kids will respect everything that you've done for them and their mom um throughout the relationship. But at the end of the day, like it's you're not the man, you're not the dad. You can't really teach kids what it's like to be
A
or what it's like
man,
to have a father, because you're
right?
not, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think when you try to overdo that role, it gets confusing, and I think it's just a little not
Yeah,
necessary.
it's a bit. It's a bit much. I mean, it's already a lot for a kid to. Um, I don't want to say have to take that on because it's just living life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's already a lot for them to comprehend. Is better. I would think because just the way that the world is right now, yeah, it's becoming more common. So maybe even for them, it's not even a thought like that. But uh, just to have to process, here's this. First of all, their mommy and daddy aren't together, right? And maybe all their
Right.
friends' mommy and daddy is together. So now that's something they got to think about. And now here's this person who is stepping in this parental type role, who's obviously not your daddy or
Right.
your mommy,
Right.
and then they're even asking you to call them daddy, who aren't even who isn't even a male.
A male,
Like
yeah.
yeah,
It's a lot
maybe
to
maybe if it was a
process.
yeah yeah maybe if it was a trans
Mhm.
male person, then of course I could see. But then in that instance, that would be a he anyway, right? So that would
Right.
be a daddy. Even though I think it would be weird to still have somebody like your stepchildren essentially calling you daddy, unless it was something that they wanted to do and took on their own. But to ask them to call you daddy,
Right.
that's a little weird, a little
A
bit
bit
much.
much.
Yes. um. So I mean, I think we've established that pregnancy and being baby daddy is not for us.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, I have sort of filled that role before. Did you ever find yourself?
Yeah.
I think we mentioned this before too, right? Like we
Yeah.
a little baby daddy ish, especially early on in
Yeah.
our
Early on in my dating, and
yeah
then I think when you get involved with kids when they're young, you know what I
yeah
mean? Like you feel more of a connection to them because you're helping them establish, figure out life
right.
basically.
Like you feel more parental in those
Yeah.
instances because of the fact that they're young, and yeah, you do have to take on that role of guiding them along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
I do miss some of my kids out there.
yeah, but I think we've
I
already
wouldn't even
figured
know what
out
to
the
call them.
best way to have kids is by not having them and just letting our
Yeah.
siblings have have
Exactly.
the kids. That way we can just borrow them from time to time
Yes.
and then just give them back when all the hard stuff comes up, like school, feeding them, buying them clothes.
Right.
You know
Shopping
what
for
I'm saying?
them.
Yes. Yeah, because my niece and
Disciplining
nephew, when
them.
they know when Auntie B's coming, they already know it's about to be a good time. Okay, it's about to be
Yeah.
mad food and laughing and talking and all that. So, I mean, you're an auntie too, right? So, I mean, what do you
Yeah.
think? I'm sure you would pick auntie over mom any day.
I maybe. So my oldest nephew, him and I have the closest relationship. And I know, like at the end of the day, if I never have kids, he'll look out for me when I'm old, and he'll sneak liquor into my nursing home for me. You know what I mean? But the rest of my nieces and nephews, I wasn't really around when they were growing up, so I have relationships with them, but I'm not as close to them.
Mm,
So the relationship that I have with my oldest nephew is I kind of want a relationship like that, but with my own child, because I was young when he was born, so it was like more like brother sister
hmm
than auntie nephew. So I always wanted kids just because I always grew up around kids. Like my mom had a daycare, so at any point in time there was like 13 kids in the house, and I was helping take care of them. Amongst us, my siblings and my nieces and nephews and stuff. So I just feel like I have that instinct, but like now when I think about it, I'm like, yo, I'm old. Like I can't be chasing around after no kids. I want to get up and go on vacation whenever I feel like it, so I could just borrow my friends' kids and my nieces and nephews. And soon, like, my oldest nephew will probably be having kids. So I could probably just borrow his baby and then spoil it and give it back to him when I'm done. So,
Yo, seriously, that's why I'm like I'm good. I don't need to because I have four nieces and nephews that I
I got
see
three.
regularly. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm pretty good off of that because
Yeah.
even just having them, like I had them for a week, and I can't imagine what my sister and their father goes through on
Yeah.
a regular basis of having all of them all the time, and it's a lot to manage. It's definitely better to be auntie because auntie got to lay the law down sometimes too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Hmm.
not all fun and games, but it's definitely a lot smoother and a lot easier transition when I'm like, here, take your children back. I'm
Yeah,
going
take them
to
back,
my
right? I know.
to my nice quiet house where I could not watch cartoons and
Yeah,
be free. I don't have to worry about did you eat? Did you eat? Did you eat? Cooking this, making that, doing all that.
right.
I'm good. I'm definitely good off of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I know there's the benefits, and then there's like sometimes like I get like the itch, like, do I want to have one? And then I think about like my freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do this if I had a kid. Like that was mine, like,
Right.
because I'm not just gonna leave my kid with anybody.
I mean, there's one time I thought about having a kid, and to be honest, it was like right after my oldest nephew was born, and my sister had hers. And I was like, dang, maybe I should go ahead and have one of those things.
Hmm.
But then I got to thinking about the life that I like to live, especially at
Yeah.
that time, and I was like, this
Hell
is not
no.
going to work for me. I was like, this is not going to work for me. Like, I don't understand why. You know what upsets me is that some people say that people who feel the way that I do are selfish, but I'm like, how am I being selfish? It's my body to choose to do with
Right.
what I want to do with. Who says I have to put another person on this earth, especially right now, how this freaking earth is? We don't even know if it's going to
Right.
last. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, Florida's about to be underwater. You want me to have that kind of anxiety? I already have anxiety enough for myself out in this world. I don't need another
Right.
soul that I'm responsible for. And then,
And then it's expensive too.
whew,
Cause if I was like, I know a couple, and the stud actually got pregnant, but then the next time she didn't want to have that experience anymore. So they had to do like reciprocal IVF,
mm-hmm,
which is where, you use like the stud's egg in the fem's body. And
mm,
it's like 20 to 30 grand
I'm good.
each time. So I'm like, wait, I gotta pay 20 to 30 grand, and I might not even have a baby. And then I gotta take care of this kid,
On top of
for
that,
the
like,
rest of my life. So yeah,
yeah, no,
it's a lot of factors.
a
I
lot of
think
factors. I'm telling you, the universe knew what it was doing when it made me.
yeah.
Because it's like we need to control the population. Let me sprinkle blaze.
Yeah.
Oh shit! We need to control the population. Let me sprinkle blaze down there a little bit because I'm not creating nothing. I'm like, y'all could take these right now, as a matter of fact. And can I donate? I wish, but I smoke too much weed, so they won't. They won't take my. And I'm just not, the clan. Like if they're like, do you drink alcohol? Yes.
Yes.
And do you smoke weed? Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're out. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm out. I wish I could get rid of these suckers for real. Like that's the life. But yeah, no bibbits for me. I'm good on that. I'll just keep borrowing my niece and nephews, just like walking around the park for 2 days with them. And I mean, it's fun. Like it's great to see the look on their faces and things like that. But thinking about having to be responsible to take care of them after that long day.
Yeah.
My dog was about to be on her own. I was like, listen. You gotta walk yourself tonight, okay? We're not playing. Here, I'm gonna toss this thing like 3 times, and that's all you get. And you better not lose this ball underneath the sofa because nobody's going to get it. Yeah, man, definitely Auntie is better. Plus, you're just cool because you're mysterious. I think because they don't see you all the time. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you get to
and
add
they
that
talk to me about crazy things too, like weed and
little.
you know what I mean, like partying.
When my niece and nephews were very young, and I used to go up there and see them for the holidays because I had to have been single because I was always going up to my families for the holidays, but I always had to smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta smoke,
Mm-hmm.
so I would smoke, and they were like too young to like really even put 2 and 2 together. I thought until one day my sister came. We had hung out. My sister and I at my mom's house, and she came home, and they were like, "You smell like Auntie B." She smelled like weed. And they're like, "You smell like Auntie B." I was like, "Oh no, oh
Oh
no,
damn.
we're gonna have to stop smoking around the kids now." Cause
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's like damn. Now let's get into wild peas, or the part of the show where we share and answer some of the most wild questions we've seen on the internet. This week, the question is, studs, would you allow your lady to flip you over on your stomach and let her ride your butt without a strap if that's what she likes?
What? I don't. First of all, I don't think that Edie could flip me over. I don't think she's that strong.
But would you allow her?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if that's something she likes, I guess. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I gotta keep it spicy, right?
And let her ride, but she's riding. There's no strap involved, so
Yeah. So
she's
that's
just
okay.
riding your butt.
Yeah, but when I pictured it like being flipped over on
That's
my
the
stomach,
part, right? That's the part.
like, yeah.
It's the flip over part. Like, you can't just manhandle me like that.
Exactly. I did know a girl back in Miami that said that was her favorite position, was to like
To
ride
someone's
her
butt?
person's butt. No.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's the flip over on your stomach part that just sounds.
Yeah.
That just hits
It's
you in the
like grabbing
little
my ankle and
spot.
flipping me over.
Yeah.
It's not happening. No ma'am, no ham, no turkey.
That's the part that just feels wrong and violating. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the flipping over part. Like the ride your butt part, not so much. There's no strap involved. Now, if there's a strap involved, now we got problems.
Yeah.
But with no strap involved, okay, that's a situation. If she really wanted to do that, I could make myself do that for her. But I would have to turn over on my stomach. That wouldn't.
There's no flipping involved.
Yeah, there's no flipping. I can't allow you to flip me.
Yeah.
That's just not gonna work. So, yeah, that one was pretty wild. And on that note, we're going to end the show here. Don't forget to follow Two Studs in a Pod on Instagram and Twitter. To catch a glimpse behind the scenes, go follow Meech on IG at the Homie Meech and on Twitter at Homie Meech, and myself at its.me.blaze on IG and at itsmeblaze2 on Twitter. If email is more your thing, shoot us an email at twostudsinapod. That's TWO studsinapod at gmail.com. If email is more your thing, shoot us an email at twostudsinapod at gmail.com. That's TWO studsinapod at gmail.com. Two Studs in a Pod is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. And again, we're excited to announce that we are now available on TuneIn. Gratitude is always the attitude. So we want to say thank you for lending us your ear.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.